not really dropping a map when it comes to the history of this team, especially across the last 2 months, like we've been talking about. So obviously, Sentinels want to right this ship. Gen G does not have the opportunity, at least in the Sentinels' eyes, to try and win this series. And that's exactly what Tens is delivering with that round. A singular bullet takes down GMD in mid.
Casual from Tens. I like it. But we're going to start to see more frags start to roll out from Sentinels' camp as well. 2 more pickups from them, but they're responding. Both Sean and Kusta as they find their own frags. Ultimately still in the favor of Sentinels, though, at a 3v2 right now. Sean and Kusta still left up alive on the attack. They've got the control swept out from Yellow. They just have to be very cautious. They don't necessarily know what the full setup looks like on the back site. Very worried about players that could peek out from one of those lanes and shut down the rest of this play. End up seeing the rest of it move forward here. Sean with a very nice find against Shazam. Equalizes out the player count. Down to a 2v2. Paint shells as well will force the rotate from Sick out into the open, and Sean will also catch that. He's up to 3 kills on this round. Here's the flight from Tens. First kill's a miss, but the follow-up is successful against Kusta. One more to take down. Will he get it? No! The showstopper from Sean wins it out as he gets the quad.
Quad for Gen G, and more in particular, Sean. Amazing round there from him, and great use of that showstopper as well. Did not want to try and take that one-on-one in any sense of the term up against Tens, and you definitely cannot blame him for that one. Gen G looking so good so far on these offenses, but I will say the Sentinels have an opportunity on the defense as well. They've been able to battle back and get themselves down into these opportunistic moments where they can possibly win out these engagements, but it's mostly been Gen G being able to bully their way onto site, get these spikes planted, and play it out in that post plant. Again, it's up to this intel department. You can see how they're pushing through main right now, using that boom bot to clear down low, put the owl drone up high, see where these Sentinels members are, and see if anybody needs to take a gunfight. But obviously, none of that is going to be the case. They'll clear out everything up until Yellow and use that Viper screen across the way in order to hold things down.
Yeah, Zoms is going to cut off the immediate area of attack with the toxic screen there. And I believe we're also going to see defenders bring out their pit too. So Zoms deploying all of his utility to fend off that B aggression. Should be able to maintain this for the rest of the round. It was looking like we were starting to see a rotate from Gen G towards the B site, but that's going to die pretty quickly for multiple reasons. One being the death of GMD at the edge of the tunnel there, and two, the obvious one being the Viper's pit still well and alive on the B site. Just too difficult for them to deal with, so it's leaning towards A here now for Gen G.
Yeah, we've been seeing this a lot from Vipers recently, especially on this map, of them just simply shutting off the doors into the actual site, just making sure to keep that Viper's pit up and make it to where you can't possibly really rotate out of any of the areas that you want to. That one mostly focused around Yellow, but that's not even the focus of the round because the spike goes down on A instead. And it's going to be a 4v5 in favor of the Sentinels and make it a 5v3 now as this retake is starting off strong. Nature will finally be able to get one. It's a showstopper out for Tens. It's he'll claim Kusta. It's all down to Sean on the re-entry from main.
So many of these late flank attempts that have lost too many of their teammates. This is going to be another one here from Sean as he works his way in. The paint shell's at least able to get them off the immediate defuse. He's going to blast himself back into the site, but ultimately into a wall where it lines up the shot a lot more easily for Shazam. Be a thrifty win there as well for the Sentinels.
Impressive stuff. Honestly, was not expecting to see that when that round ended, but yes, a thrifty there for Sentinels, and they're also going to tie things up. So huge round here for them as defense is starting to come together. And as we said previously before Icebox started, this does tend to lean towards the offensive side. And right now, this is looking really solid for both of these squads. The biggest thing standing out for me is Gen G's play on offense has been outstanding. Time and time again, able to get these spikes down. As you can see, Sentinels already with 2 round wins from defusing.
See if they can push that envelope a little bit further. Holding on much better today on this defensive side. That's often been when we've seen teams struggle on Icebox. This has been the side where it's shown up. I talked about that earlier during the 100 Thieves maps, and it's no different for Sentinels inside of this series too. Already the 3 rounds picked up is a good sign for the rest of the match and the possibility to take this to a 3rd map. 1-to-1 exchange will be how we open up this round here. Now it's going to be Gen G on the eco themselves, try and get another thrifty away from Sentinels, but Shazam trying to put a quick stop to that. Deals with Kusta, and in position to get even more than that. In fact, let's make it 2 more. In fact, Tapper, never mind, is going to take a large majority of those last kills. But either way, it's a very swift victory for the defense.
Yeah, Shazam feeling himself there for just a second with that Sheriff hop, but not able to get the frag. Either way, though, Sentinels deal with the Gen G eco very well. only end up losing a singular member. So good stuff for them, and they'll continue to build their economy going through this. But for Gen G, it's really all on Sean as of right now. Through these first 7 rounds, a combat score of, I believe, 369 as of right now. So pretty impressive stuff, but we're going to see more from them. Again, they've been so good at being able to clear out the initial, beginnings of the round, making sure that they know where these members are from Sentinels, and they're going to do it yet again here.
GMD has that forward position over towards B, but won't be able to do much about it, unfortunately. The toxic screen still blocking off the viewpoint for quite some time, and even when that goes away, we'll have to be cautious of any aggressive positions that might have been set up for Sentinels. There aren't any in reality, but Gen G, of course, will not know that, so they default over towards A once again. No full commitment just as of yet, just kind of poking their way in, seeing what the site looks like, and as well, keeping GMD in position to watch out for those mid-rotates, as he's already able to capitalize upon those quite a bit on an earlier round for Gen G that went quite well for them, mainly because of that position from GMD. The rest of them, though, not too keen on trying to swing out towards mids. That's going to enable some aggression from Tens. There's a few other members here on Sentinels, too. Tens, though, now seeing the crosses start to build up there towards the midpoint. We'll back away. It's getting a little bit too hot for comfort. Shazam will get spotted out by the recon dart, but quickly Cloud bursts it to make sure it won't get any additional info. Away from this, it's still Gen G trying to figure out the best path forward. GMD has found an opening as he's worked his way up pipe for free. Now, in the site needs to have the rest of his team support him. He'll be able to spot out one player, but dies before he can make an impact. Zombs will take GMD down, and then Hale able to move in, find himself another pickup here before this comes down to the wire. The rotates are here from the Sentinels, and they have the advantage as a result of it. Down to a 3v2. Nature evens us back out. More importantly, the spike goes down on the ground, and a miss from Shazam on the right click gives Nature an opportunity to frag out again. Mikhail backs up, though, too close to the wall. Tens will spot that out, but as he moves in to try to clutch it, it is not going to pan out. We'll end up seeing the attack come out on top of this one, and Gen G picks up a 4th round to tie us up again.
Oh, it's so unfortunate for Tens there, as the paint shell will end up getting the last remaining member of Gen G, Nature, but Nature hitting the shot just before his life is taken from the paint shell. So tied up yet again here is Gen G as they battle back, and they continue to play these mind games with Sentinels. Love what I'm seeing from these guys. Sit inside of A main, toy back and forth with the Sentinels, whilst also pushing the Omen up through tube. He's going to get control of Kitchen and start working out towards the actual site, and they're going to get a lot done because of that. That ice wall up there, as well as everything else, just makes it pretty safe to be able to get that spike plant down. Sentinels finally getting some refrags, but it was just too little too late at that point.
Quick tech timeout here, folks. Just give us a moment and we'll get the issue fixed relatively quickly and keep on going with the game. Gen G holding on the attacking side of Icebox here, but holding on is not necessarily what you expect to come out here. You do expect the attackers to get a bit more of a dominant stance. So these next few rounds, I'm expecting them to go a little bit more handily into Gen G's favor if they want to maintain the expected advantage at halftime. Otherwise, might have to work a little bit harder when they jump onto the defense if they truly want to win this map. Sentinels feeling themselves pretty well right now with the 4 rounds that they have, and pretty consistent hold for the most part on the scoreboard here to try to keep themselves alive and push us to our 3rd and final map.
Yeah, Sentinels are more than likely not angry about this scoreline in the slightest. I mean, this is pretty solid when it comes down to it. Gen G have also been playing just a fantastic game and keeping the Sentinels guessing. So really, the scoreline is just a tale of the tape. So what's been going on in between these two? But for me, Gen G, definitely the big victor here today, just because we expect the Sentinels to dominate almost everyone that they're around. And while Gen G taking it to them here on Icebox as well, and making sure to keep things close and entertaining.
Back into the action here. Gen G, once again, that usual lineup we see from them, where they're going to be posturing for positioning towards both sites. No idea of a commitment going to be coming in this early of the round, though. Definitely playing for picks, wanting to try and see if they can capitalize upon the aggression, if there is going to be any. And there's quite a bit leading towards A from the Sentinels. So the first couple seconds of the round do go by here. It seems the presence for Gen G has shifted quite prominently over towards a B play instead. Zombs has some bit of an idea as to what is going on, so he will very quickly back away before any of those players swing and start to send themselves out onto the B side. It seems Zombs was confident enough to make the call to his teammates too, so the full rotates are on the way, and they'll have that confirmed by Shazam's push outside of A. As they rotate in, we're already starting to see trades unfold here. Gen G needs to get this plant down quickly. I believe the pit's going to come out here as well. I did hear the audio cue from it, but not seeing it just there. It is going to be coming out across onto the map here now. With the death against nature, definitely going to need that extra cover to play for.
It's looking so solid right now for the Sentinels. Shazam, though, on the flank with the op. Ten's trying to hop into the Viper's pit. They'll finally get rid of Kusa, so that'll go down. It's all up to GMD inside of B main, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Sentinels with some awesome picks coming into the B site makes it almost impossible for Gen G to try and fight back. Great defense and an amazing call from Zoms for the rotate.
Great stuff from Zoms to catch that early. More importantly, backing out before he committed himself too heavily to that. Had to try and go for a one-for-one trade or just outright die. Playing the numbers game and making sure that Sentinels maintained full control of the situation at all times, which for the most part they did. Did have to back up and allow the initial volley of utility to go off from Gen G. They got aggressive pretty quickly after that spike, got down onto the ground, and as we saw, retook the site, still had 3 to 4 players alive at the end of it too. So a solid round coming out for the defense yet again as we inch towards the end of this half with only a couple rounds left.
Yeah, shout out to Tens on that one as well. If you guys caught it, that beautiful paint shell able to take out Sage Nature as soon as they end up getting the spike down. So a nice trade there. He's continually hitting these nades over and over again. Tens gonna get a big frag, dumps the paint shell in as well. He's gonna get another 2, goes for it with the blast pack. Can he get a quad? Tries to run away with the classic. It's Dapper to assist to make sure he doesn't go down, and Dapper will get his own frags in 2. It's gonna be a flawless round for Sentinels as fast as I can say.
So a little bit more control starting to drift over towards our defenders here on Sentinels, as they are taking that solid control to round out the half, a 6-4 lead, and only seeing it grow here. That's going to be dangerous, at least in my opinion, for Gen G going into the second half. What a way to control it here too. The paint shell is doing massive damage. The operator coming in to shut it down as well. It's just that outright aggression on Zipline in order to shut things down. So it's going to be a pretty light bot round in that previous one from Gen G, so wasn't expecting anything fantastic from them regardless. Now we go into another full investment, but once again, we need to see them perform and hold on here before the half closes out.
Don't expect Sentinels to slow down very much. Gonna have a read here from GMD as he'll use his ult. Getting deep into sight, actually hiding inside of one of his dark covers from his shrouded step here. From the shadows, excuse me. Either way, though, it's going to be Sentinels with the lead off picks again. Nature will at least get the res on to Sean as the trades ensue, and Gen G actually able to equalize. Is going quite well for them at the moment. Trying to get the plant down now, but they abandon it immediately. It's Tens on the flank, but he'll get caught off from Mikael as well. Gen G start to rotate out of B and start looking towards A. It might have seemed like a full-on execute, but it's all a facade as they throw it back the other way.
Definitely trying to throw a lot of that utility out. The problem is, though, Sen gets the immediate read on this. We've got Dapper hot on the tail of the rotate through B main, and he's giving out the call the entire time. So there's going to be a full commitment from Shazam and Zoms as long as that's the case. And the flank isn't even being watched. So Dapper's allowed to go right out, find the free pick against Sean. The numbers have been evened up. The health deficit for Zoms is not going to be as big of a deal anymore, but now it will be. Both Kusta and Nature picking up the entries on the A site. Those are the ones that mattered, as now Dapper is up against a nigh impossible clutch here. 1v3, yes, Nature is low, but now they know where he's coming from as well. Everybody on Gen G can post up to counter this exact push.
It's going to be very difficult, especially with Kusta still alive, because he just gets to play snake bites all the way from the back of A main near belt. So it'll be difficult for Dapper to try and get around this one. He's already used his recon bolt, so he's flying blind for the time. Very low on time now for this spike as well, and still has to find 3 kills. You guys can see the snake bites already coming in, so Dapper knows this is a lost round. He's going to try and find some frags as he's pushing out onto the other side here. Likely going to catch Sage off guard, but Nature prepared for it, still walking backwards. He can't get the stop and frag. Instead, it'll be Dapper who ends up getting taken down at the very end of the spike's radius.
Couple of steps away there, yeah, from relative safety, but still would have had to deal with the post pressure that would have come in from the remaining members of Gen G there also. So Gen G bouncing it back just a little bit. That one extra kill towards the end of the round shouldn't make a massive tectonic impact in things for Gen G. One, because there's only one extra player, and 2, because we're heading into the end of the round anyway. But it does seem actually like it shifts at least one player down onto a suboptimal buy. They're going to have to work with a Spectre for this final round instead, so I'll correct myself. It does have that slight bit of impact. We'll see what it leads to, though, inside the round itself as the action's getting started now.
As we know, Sean's not going to be able to take as aggressive of long-distance gunfights, especially if he doesn't have a Vandal, but you know what he will be able to do? Blast Pack right into sight and then get shot by TenZ. That's what he can do. Blast Pack out for TenZ to try and hold him back, as well as Paint Shells out as well. And no, it's going to be Nature actually that works its way up through 410 to take down TenZ. Speaking of which, Shazam with the trade, Kusa with the trade as well. It's just back and forth across the board, and Sentinels finally getting something done here. It's all down to Mikael, who can't try and win this 1 versus 2. Zombs already has the cutoff, and he'll get it done. It's 7-5 in favor of the defense.
So, Sen definitely get themselves a solid half built up coming off that defensive side. 7 rounds in their favor. We can see TenZ once again having that fantastic first round impact on the scoreboard too. I'm gonna look at some of the replays and hopefully get a few highlights from that, but it was a little bit more of a quiet push from him. Like I said, no crazy round defining plays, but keeping it consistent to make sure the team stays in controlling shape throughout the rest of it. Sean was really impressing me in the meanwhile on the other side of the coin for Gen G. Some really good stuff coming out from his Raze. Obviously, we don't really talk much about that last round, but aside from that, a really impressive half from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of them are just neck and neck at this moment. It seems like these rounds are just being decided by those little finite details, like the paint shell bouncing over the ice wall and taking out Sage and things like that. It's all up to those little minute things that are happening in between these two, and it's beautiful to see. What a showcase of the Valorant talent that we have on both of these rosters. And speaking of which, we're going to be shifting gears here as Sentinels drop it into third and start shaking things up. They're on offense now as all they're looking for a B execute, at least for the time being.
Dapper drifting forward, checking out the main corridor here to make sure there is not going to be any tomfoolery from the members of Gen G, especially considering this is Pistol. This is where you'd likely sometimes tend to see those players hiding in a hard-to-spot corner that an Aldrin might not always get. That's why he's keeping the top-down view of things. Kusta does see the action starting to boil out. He'll call for the rotate, but here's going to be the problem. Kusta, you can see those rotates are pretty far away, and he is, well, very much alone here on the site. So throws out all of his toxic utility to try to smoke this off, but ultimately we'll just have to wait for his teammates to rotate in. It'll be a full 5-on-5 post plant here, and Sentinels will have more than enough time to set themselves up. They will be cautious, though. Kyle is working his way in for a pinch, but he's very much being watched. However, his timing can work out so well. Kyle walks in, is going to be able to get the free shots onto Zombs, but Zombs wins it anyway. Nature and GMD, though, both pick up wins outside on the site itself, ultimately drifting this further into the favor of Sentinels. GMD has to be the hero here, but no, Sick denies the clutch, and instead, it's going to be another win for Sen.
Oh, that round's almost getting blasted open by Mikael there. So very close, but the classic giveth and the classic taketh away with that right click. It's not working out in his favor, and the frenzy is better inside of those close engagements. Either way, though, a beautiful round there, specifically for Sick, as he was able to bound back and forth out of that dark cover on the other side of yellow, and just what a position to play from him, keeping things locked up for the Sentinels, and it's going to push them into this next round. Gen G obviously going to be on an eco here, so this one probably going to be pretty decisive.
This is already a big victory for Sentinels, being able to take control of that pistol with a 2-round lead at the start of it. Now a 3-round lead, of course, likely to evolve into a 4th. I say that, but Gen G have already taken one of these second full saves off of Sen, so it's definitely not a guaranteed round for them as of yet. Will be very difficult, I'll be honest and say, to make this work. Such a light buy on Icebox of all maps, too. So many long angles here. The pistols usually fall out quite heavily. Sen realizing this actually brought like a light buy for some of their players. Was notably Sick, just saving what he had from the previous round, not making those additional investments. The rest of the team buying into it quite heavily, though, and that's already paying off. Zombs making quick work of the aggression that's coming over the barrier orb there. Still, he's able to sneak 1 kill. It'll matter for naught, though. TenZ coming in, shuts down those final 2 players, and it's a 9th round up on the board, just like we said.
Man, TenZ is running roughshot over this entire thing right now, and that's not even accounting for Dapper. I wouldn't even have been able to tell you that Dapper has 17 kills. He's just doing it idly. Yep. It's really been TenZ that we've been seeing with these explosive entries and flanks as well, able to just really get inside of Gen G's head and break down these strategies, making it nigh impossible to try and come back. But luckily enough for Gen G and the Gen G camp overall, they now have rifles, and with that, an opportunity to slow down Sentinels.
Dapper with a quick recon dart out just to make sure we don't see the aggression, but he is going to see it. Nature actually gets tagged by one of those. That may change up the playstyle for Sentinels even slightly here. Sean's also got a very aggressive push forward into B main too. He's going to be on the correct side of his opponent's 6 screens, so maybe able to catch something with that if he goes unchecked. Likely we'll see that happen, though. For the most part, it seems like most of the aggression from Sentinels is going to work its way out onto the A side anyway. Even Gen G is starting to realize that Sean with such a forward position can tell way ahead of time that, guys, there's nothing here. So that call will be made well ahead of time, and we'll see the large majority of Gen G already in position, either in mid or ready to defend the A site at this point in the round.
Gen G fully prepared here. Obviously, Sentinels are the slow-moving offense right now. They're going to get read out from that Owl drone. So much info coming from the defensive Owl drone there of Mikhail. Either way, though, now down to the Sentinels to try and get this execute to go off, and it starts off without a hit. Shazam getting one, but GMD finally with the refrag from Raptors. He's going to continue to be able to hold this down whilst Kusta works across and through Maze. He'll get yet another. Mikhail tags one up for a third in the Gen G camp. Now down to a 3v2. Dapper finally fighting fire with fire. He'll take 2 as well. It's a triple for him on the round, and it's all left up to Sean. Paint shell in hand, but chooses to keep it inside of his pocket anyways. And really, did it really matter at the end of the day? Dapper swings it. It's a quad for him. And wow, what rounds Sentinels have been able to link together.
Yeah, this is a massive boon for them. Like we talked about already, coming into the half with a strong lead off the defensive side of 7-5, and then being able to push that forward immediately with a pistol win the follow-up when the first gun round goes their way. This is a desperate situation being set up for Gen G to come back from right now, but it's certainly not impossible. In fact, we've already seen something much greater than this transpire just on the previous map. Time to see if they can bring themselves together, though, and truly do it. Probably not necessarily on this round, since once again, it's just going to be light investments from the pistols for the most part. But after this, they can focus things up, and there's going to be a capability for them to come back.
Well, as of right now, not looking too good, at least for this round, as,
that was quick.
I'm just going to hold my words, John. That's the best way to do it. We're going to the next round, folks. Round 17, right around the corner as the Sentinels hit a flawless. And wow, what a convincing one it was. Across the board, Dapper actually ends up taking up the mantle of top frag on Sentinels away from Tens, who's had such an amazing game, but you can't say anything against Dapper right now. 21-7 up against Gen G. And remember, Icebox being Gen G's pick, as well as Sentinels picking our first map being Bind, so it looks like it's opposite day.
So let's see if Sentinels can really control the situation here. This is the last big round they have to get past, too. After this, it would be a force from Gen G with suboptimal guns across the board and probably a lack of utility, too. Going to be seeing Sentinels move into the B site relatively quickly. Pit goes down onto the ground very fast as well from Zom, so full B site control already maintained by Sentinels. They didn't even have to kill a single player to get the job done here. Rest of Gen G is slowly swarming around the outskirts, but they have to be so cautious. There are members of Sentinels literally everywhere around this site, inside of the kitchen hallway, the kitchen itself, down towards Pipe. We can see Shazam with a slight angle to counter out, rotates from Snowman. Not able to use it to the best of his own capability, though, as he only gets that little bit of damage onto Nature, but there we go. Then brings it back home to finish off Usta. Tens as well, finding Sean. Kale will be able to sneak his way back in, at least getting him on top of the spike, but that's just before he goes down to Zoms. Tens with the paint shells showing up again, finishes off Nature. And GMG just sitting on the outside of this pit. He doesn't even know how to approach this.
La que le salvó a
Shazam. Pushed out from the same angle he was just looking at. Zoms takes him out. And Sentinels go up on the map for him.
Well, if Sentinels' defenses looked good, their offenses look absolutely astounding. These guys are taking control so quick, especially on that B site. But the beauty of it is the pacing here for me, Blue. I mean, time and time again, they're able to shift things from Gen G and just keep them guessing. And that's, again, really what you want in a game like this. You try and get some people to pull some utility or do something drastic, and that's just going to forever be in your favor, one would say. So we'll see if the Sentinels are able to do so yet again here, as it looks like a full-blown official assault of the actual belt area. It's traded out. Nature will get 2, but they'll get 2 of their own, and it's going to be Gen G to try and retake A, as 2 of their members are still out towards 2.
Tens is going to launch himself with both blast packs right into the back of the site here. Take that control for himself. Paint Shell's also going down over towards screens to block off access from that department. And with a Cloudburst from Shazam, it has given Gen G the room they need to get their spike down safely onto the ground. Todoooo starting to work his way back in through screens here, making things look a lot more promising for them. A clean kill against Shazam as well stops him from getting any more forward momentum. TenZ is low. He can't fight the open like this, and he'll go down unexpectedly. Kyle just going to be on the Dapper here now. He doesn't even have an angle onto the diffuser right now, and he's being overwhelmed by the Gen G roster.
Eso por hacerse los cancheros.
Holds on, although they've got a long, long road to recovery as Gen G finally gets another round for themselves.
Such a scary round there for both of those teams. Opening up that way on belt from Gen G. I mean, look at how they fly in here immediately with Nature as well as Sean. Nature with 2, but the trade back. And, well, saw the rest of that one broke down. Gen G able to recoup as well as take over the site. And that's exactly what needed to happen. They needed to try and use that man advantage into their favor, at least stack up and get those trades going on inside of that 3v3. Otherwise, things were going to be pretty risque, one could say. But still up and on to map point here. That'll push us down to that 3rd map if they're able to find it. Still a long road ahead for Gen G, but hey, we've seen what they've done in the past.
So that immediate pop once again from Gen G. Kusta we bringing out the pit, pretty much forcing the hand of Sentinels over towards A. Still have quite a bit of a stack sitting outside though, the B main corridor. So you're seeing it now with Dapper rotating that there's still a good possibility the teams try to push their way past this. Probably going to end up involving a little bit of a split towards mid, but be oh so careful. Could be walking right into the trap set by Kusta here. All going to come down to whether he can find the impact necessary if Sentinels decide to put that pressure onto him. They decide against it though. They're moving back away and over towards A. TenZ has a lineup in mid to counter off, rotates from that direction. B side, this is 2, so see how the full commitment works. They'll go towards the site that they were forced into.
Well, Mikael's going to burn away his Hunter's Fury. He doesn't end up tagging anyone, and Dapper going to follow through with some of his own. Not able to secure the frag, but looking for it. He gets shot. TenZ flies in. He'll get one of his own. Can't follow it up, though. GMD, this is one of his shrouded steps across the door. They're prepared for this retake now, but it's not in their favor until Nature is able to get Sean back up. But they know exactly where he was rezzed. Not able to try and secure it, though. No one being daring enough to try and dash forward or anything of the sort. And, oh, well, you see exactly why. Shazam's almost in some bad spots, but instead gets that tailwind, able to dash away. Nature now with 2 of his own, and it seems like a wrap here from Dapper, but GMD's good for it. This is an amazing retake from Gen G across the board, and they'll get it done. Sean with the last frag, and some big guns to pick up as well.
Control looks so strong in the early round there for Sentinels. It took them such a long time to make the decision to go towards A, but when they worked their way in, having the control, it seemed to play the post plant, but Gen G had the utility for the retake to work their way back out there. Really put the pressure back onto Sentinels and make sure they hold on here. Like I said, it's a long, long road they're working their way past, but these past 2 rounds have been real convincing of them to try to go the full distance. That's not even minding the fact they need to win out OT as well at this point if they make it back to 12 rounds. Let's see how this comeback attempt will continue as we move in around 20.
Well, this time it starts in similar straits, all except for obviously the Viper utility being down inside of B long. It's simply just going to be her toxic screen is, well, no longer having an ult is Kusta. Gonna have to look for that later, but he's been tagged up royally, down to 27 HP for the time being. He's gonna need healed up from Nature quite soon, and that seems to be exactly the case that we just saw. Sentinels still sitting on their hands, though. Don't want to push too far forward as of yet. The spike sits outside of B main, and it's mostly going to be Zom's job to try and bring that in. They're probing both areas, though. Still just a stack towards the B side as TenZ is trying to get anything figured out on A before he shifts out.
Sentinels are lined up for a push out on the B. Very hesitant about it, though, for reasons you might expect. This is a tough angle. We've got a lot of smokes working against them right now. Currently the dark cover from GMD, but we've already made progress on a first kill with Kyle getting taken down about 10 seconds ago. GMD gonna try and stop the swing now, but he can't land the shots. Zoms takes him down. It's Nature completely through the smoke, but instead gets that first response onto TenZ. But it's just a small gesture at this point. Sean might be able to get something going with the paint shells, and the other issue is TenZ is now back in the fight as he's been revived.
Oh, this is terrible right now for Gen G. It's a 3v5 after that res. Make it a 2v5 now. Dapper's gonna try and go huge. Oh, what a play for the Sentinels. Right out of yellow. Clean up Gen G. And that's a pretty easy peasy icebox.
That's going to close it down, folks. We'll be right back. stays even and any sort of trade out.
Verdadero.
And we are back again, ladies and gentlemen, ready to hop into the final map of our second series of the day here from Valorant Challengers. It's Gen G versus
Haven.
Sentinels. If you are just joining us, we're getting ready to jump onto Haven here. We're in the agent select, locking it in now. Let's see what these teams are going to bring us. Interesting, we see the Astra pick coming in from Zoms. Obviously, we've been seeing her slowly drift out of the meta, but it seems in this case, Sentinels still are going to find use for her inside of Haven.
Indeed, and a big change up to her in recent times with the 3.0 update, changing a lot of her utility around, making her cooldowns a lot longer. That's the biggest thing for her kits, so they're not going to be able to shift things around as quickly, but obviously the Sentinels more than likely have a game plan around that, so we'll see what has to be done for them. But looking across to the other side for Gen G, more of the same of what we would expect from them at the end of the day. GMD going to be sticking to the Omen, Sean on the Sky yet again here, but Kusta with a pretty big shift away from the Viper and onto the Jet.
Should be a fun time, folks. We'll be jumping into it in just a few moments. Quite a few role changes happening over on the Sen side, too, which are expected to be fair, but still are worth considering. Ten's jumping onto the Jet, not much of a role change overall, but Dapper, for instance, going to be working himself over onto the Cypher now, and on top of that, we'll have a few other things shifting, too. Shazam now moving from the Jet that he plays on Icebox. He'll be going over towards the Sova now, so much more of a supportive role inside of this map, and Sick as well. Adding a Phoenix into the play. We'll see how this all works out as the action's getting started now. Sen's on the attack, Gen G's on the defense. Let's see who comes out on top and moves forward further into the upper bracket.
Okay, well, Gen G starting us out early on here with a guiding light from Sky and C long to see if anyone's pushing early. So already have insight on that. It's going to be a B stack here as well for Gen G. He'll get stunned out as Kusta's actually up and onto the boxes. He'll be able to take out Sick on the entry. A good read as well with the recon dart. So they'll have to shift and go somewhere else instead. It's going to be a flood in through Garage. The Cloud Burst to be able to assist as well. But as we know, Sean has already worked his way up long using that guiding light earlier on. They're going to have to try and clear this out. He steps out at a perfect moment. He'll claim one. Can he get the second? He'll at least assist. Kusta trying to get it done from the back of sight. It's a beautiful pinch right now onto Dapper as finally he'll be secured from Kusta as well. It's a quad for him on the round and starting off with some amazing economy for the Jet.
Yeah, to switch over to Jet specifically seems to already be working out pretty well for Kusta here. 422 ACS in the first round. Not too bad, I'll say so myself, but we'll see how the rest of these rounds go. The big story once again, though, is going to be Gen G regaining control over the pistol, which at least on the last map, they were struggling with that quite a bit. Their Sentinels having to fight from the back, or excuse me, Gen G having to fight from the back foot right from the very start, including in the second half where they really got put down on the scoreline and unfortunately started to seal the deal for the end of that map. But this time, not going to be an issue. They win that opening pistol. Will they win the follow-up, though? As we do have some aggressive buys coming in from Sen. It's not going to completely buy them out. You can still see 3 of them working with classics as well, but they did buy in for a couple of weapons here to add a little bit of extra firepower to the attack.
Well, Dapper a little sad about that camera. I'm sad about it too, Dapper. It didn't go the way that you wanted it to and ends up getting stuck to a wall. So we'll have to wait a couple of seconds for that cooldown to come back if he does want to use it again. And that's going to lead them to a bit of a dry peek here on the outside, but I don't necessarily think that camera was going that way anyways. Either way, though, it's going to be Sick as the opening frag yet again inside of the Sentinels camp. Gen G on the retake now effectively, although the plant has not been put down as of late, but Zoms is going to start that up immediately as we start talking about it. Down into the default position here, and they'll start setting things up, at least Astra utility-wise, to try and have some play inside of the post plant.
Well underway here, though. Sentinels controlling the situation for now, which is going to be dangerous for Gen G. We nearly saw this round unfold, or we did see this round unfold in a previous map. Not going to happen this time, though. The retake is far too strong from Gen G. It's a flurry of kills that results in one more member of the Gen G roster going down, but ultimately, they still take it with 3.
By proxy of the frags as well as the spike. So Kusta well on his way having a Blade Storm already, and that could be something that catches the Sentinels off guard down the line. But now we've reached that infamous third round, folks, where everybody's got guns and they're trying to win their first round, and that is going to be going the way of Sentinels, as they'll be starting us out here with what seems to be a stack towards A.
That's actually going to be a bit of a bonus round here for Gen G also. They're choosing not to buy in entirely, instead keeping the guns or keeping the same caliber of guns from the previous round here just because the money for those dead players. It's going to be a little rough, and that's also going to be a bit rough there. Dapper, a clean opener, 2 kills going all his direction there, and Sick makes it 3 with another one just outside of short. That's GMD going down. Nature and Sean, the only 2 players left alive here for Gen G. That seems that bonus round not really going to be going their way with the way things have lined up currently. They are set up on the A site to counter out this aggression. It was looking for a moment like Sentinels were going to rotate out and go towards B, but no, it's a 2v5. They're going to dive in on this one when they know they're at subpar weaponry too. They'll handle it quickly, and then finally, Sen will get on the board on round 3.
Well, it's a very good thing that they did not buy some hefty weaponry there. Instead, like you said, sticking to the Sheriff and some Spectres. And that's going to be able to at least get them into this next round and keep them inside the money. That's the biggest thing. Some beautiful shots there from Dapper, and just overall a very convincing round there from the Sentinels. 10's also having some fun, even as a spike, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's an updraft as well as a tailwind in order to have a pretty good time there with the Classic. But now it's down to, well, we usually end up talking about the beginning of every one of these games. It's the rifle round, folks, in between these two. And the Sentinels tie us up here at 2-2 and start taking it to Gen G on this offense.
Yeah, the real rifle round finally starting to show its head. We're going to find Sentinels getting a lot of intel early on, specifically towards Garage. They're going to see it's completely open for the taking, so that will allow Sick to slowly drift towards that, get into a position just outside. Doesn't look like he's going to be alone and mounting up for that play either. Dapper seems to be joining him while keeping Overwatch on B. Aggression. For the rest of the team, they're going to work their way up long. The run it back comes out from Sick. They're going to try to push themselves forward from that position. And what out of the site pretty much for free here. But as they move forward, Nature also goes down. Cannot use the cages anymore. Get that intel in the late round here. That's all going to go down. Trades continuing to go out. And it's all in the favor of Sen once again. Exactly. Brought down to just 2 remaining players, Mikhail and Kusta. The neural net goes out as well, giving away the location of those final 2 players and killing most of any hope that would still be alive for a retake.
They're just going to take this one nice and slow, especially with Mikhail here at mid. Instead, just going to go for the exits onto the Sentinels. And honestly, pretty big brain when it comes down to it. Don't want to try and rush in there and just end up losing guns that you don't really need, or that you necessarily need going into these future rounds. And I ended up having a frag here, but Dapper, seemingly aware, although it's simply just via brain power, nothing else, no true insight onto this. Doing to check Cam, is he going to swing this? This is the big question for me, as they continue to basically stare at each other through these walls. But yeah, no one's going to do anything. Was not really expecting any forward progress there from Dapper, as he had already made it out, and that's exactly what we're going to get. Sentinels with their second round.
Another 2-2 start for both of these teams. It's like the 3rd time today we've hit this scoreline here, as it seems to be a very common occurrence both in this series and the previous one as well. I believe it happened on one of those 2 maps. So taking a look at how the teams will move forward from here. Unfortunately, that round is going to break the Gen G economy, as that was their first big investment after the bonus round. It's looking like some players still have the money coming off the save for a reinvestment. That's going to be Mikhail and Kusta. The rest of the team, well, you might be able to guess, not going to have a whole lot to contribute inside of this round. So just that 500 or so credits being spent to get the upgraded pistol, not much beyond that.
Well, Kusta is going to have that operator. That's the big thing for me inside of this one. Actually ends up buying that, so could end up losing that in this round depending on how it goes. But as we'd expect, more than likely just going to be manning C along and waiting for that rotation. Have to see how this will end up breaking here, as most of Gen G has stacked themselves up on A, prepared for a Sentinel's assault. Surely coming anytime. Slowly but surely, need to get rid of these coins and try and find something out on this site. Haven't been able to find out too much insight just yet. A curveball out. Did they check the corner? They will. 10's dashing right into one of his cloud bursts. He does it yet again. Standing right in front of him, but the initial one goes away. He'll lose his life because of it. We have Sentinels members shooting at Sentinels members. Everyone's so confused as to what's happening, but it's all going to come down to Kusta in a 1 versus 3. And Kusta, you better run for the hills, my friend. That gun is way too expensive to try and work your way out of this one.
Yeah, if anything, he could just post up here at the tunnel and try to see if he can maybe get himself one pick or so against a greedy member of Sentinels. But they know for sure he's got the operator now, so probably not anyone that's smart anyway gonna end up peeking out towards that doorway. Instead, they're working on a bit of a flank to try and take care of that, as it's still gonna be a big boon to them if they can drop this gun. No way Kusta has the money to rebuy it. I would find it very doubtful that he would have that at this point, considering how dire things are the Gen G camp. Either way, though, Pepper having a bit of a problem locating Kusta, so looking like he might be able to sneak out of this round after all, and I'd say that that's pretty much going to come to fruition here. There goes the spike. No one else close enough to find him, so that gun will make it in the next round.
Well, at least good news there for Gen G, as their Sky, or at least their Jet, will be able to hold on to that for a while longer. And that also means going into this next round, they're going to have full weaponry, which is quite the big deal, trying to battle back against the Sentinels. You can see how aggressive they are with these offenses, but obviously they're well aware of the firearms that Gen G have going into that round. They know they can be forceful, as when Gen G are trying to fight back, it's more than likely going to be a pistol or something that isn't necessarily going to be something that takes them out in one shot. Gen G try to catch them off guard with the op for C long, but doesn't work out. Instead, back onto this round now. And we're going to move Kusta as well across towards A, so we'll be playing A long instead here, but once again, Sentinels going away from Kusta's position as they're looking towards C.
Sick already with a very forward position to play off of here for the rest of Sentinels. He's all the way inside of the garage window. He's not going to get aggressive with this either. I think he's just going to sit here. But paranoia from GMD as he reads into that play. Immediately counters out the position from Sick. And establishes some good presence from Gen G in the backside of C as they get ready to fend off the push from Sentinels. Sentinels don't even seem too concerned, or don't even seem too confident, I mean to say, in their push anymore. After they lose their garage presence, they're going to fall back after going halfway up through long, trying to work their way out either into mid or just sitting back and playing for picks for a few seconds here. They don't have a whole lot of time to play, though, is the thing, so they'll need to make a decision soon with only 40 seconds left to get their spike down.
Yeah, C site a little too hot there, and also the Seekers coming out from Sean, so that'll read out the Sentinels members, but who else will? Be Kusta with a hell of a flick as he takes down Shazam. A reset here from Tens is Sean holding things back inside of short. It's going to be Kusta yet again for a beautiful frag, but not before Tens takes him down after he updrafts on top of the boxes. Tens trying to make it work for his team out of short, pre-firing everything he possibly can, but Sean with a beautiful read will shoot him right through the dark cover. It's all down to Dapper now inside of a 1v3, but he doesn't necessarily have the time in order to make this happen. He'll at least get a frag, a participation trophy for round 6, but it's going to be Gen G with the round overall.
Gen G pick things up after they find some very nice reads inside of the early round that set them up for a great advantage. Starts immediately off with the garage pick and then fends off entirely before they even commit to it. What would have been the Sentinels push up through C long. Sentinels, of course, try to call the audible, but Kusta primarily is there to stop the action, get in the way of it, and secure that third round for Gen G to tie us up. That breaks the streak from Sentinels as well. 3 rounds into their pocket, but finally that is broken. And now, with Gen G having a bit of confidence built up, it's looking like they're going to rely on that as they go into this next round here. Recon Dart is away. Not going to ping anyone as far as I can tell, but Kusta still establishing the angle. Try to punish this early pressure from Sen down long.
We saw the difference maker that Kusta could be inside of these previous 2 rounds. Initially playing C long and nobody pushes into him. Next round, gets multiple frags on A long, and well, it's happening again in between these two, but this time it's Tens and Sean, as Sean trades out Tens. Now down into a 4v4. Kusta will still maintain his presence on A long, though, as the Sentinels have pushed up short. He'll be able to procure himself Shazam as well as the spike. That's the read that they need, as we'll be able to at least see that go down. No big momentum shift here from Gen G, though, on defense, as they're simply going to sit on their hands and see what the Sentinel response will be.
50 seconds left here, so Sentinels, once again, going to be forced into making a choice sooner rather than later, but the longer they sit back and wait, the more opportunities they seem to give over to Gen G to make the aggressive plays like what we just saw from Sean there. He strikes true, brings the Sentinels count total down to only 2 players alive here, between Dapper and Zoms. Zoms just going to commit to the inside of Garage, as C seems like the best option for them at this point, and I would generally agree with that. Nature will block off the backside to make it seem like they have more presence, and of course slow down the pacing of this push so that he can do that. A very clean double from him to establish the 4th round and the lead for Gen G.
There's some fantastic defensive setups here from Gen G. They've finally gotten Sentinel's number. These picks finally happening for them as well, and that's something that you and I were touching on Icebox, is that it was really the opening kills that they weren't able to find like they once were, and it seems like Haven has flipped the script on us here yet again as they're continually taking it to the Sentinels. And the Sentinels still with some solid openings. I like the way that they're trying to find this intel and work the map, but it's just time and time again that Gen G is able to shut the door on them. We'll see if they're able to do it yet again here as well. We're going to have Kusta move along the map all over again. No longer on A long, moving over to C, wants to keep them guessing where this operator lies.
TenZ has brought out the knives here, so it's going to be a light investment in the round specifically for him, but it can play off of that. Looking for a first opportunity to strike on the inside of Garage, but instead Sean is going to send a flash out towards mid to say hello, and that will send it off at least for now. It seems to have attracted the attention of Sentinels, however, is now Sean. They have to very well go up against a 3-player push. He's going to get a step ahead of them, however, as he moves out and catches TenZ. That's the knives gone to the ground. Obviously, not a huge loss in the economy game there, but still, an ultimate gone by the wayside. TenZ not going to be able to assist with that aggressive entry any further. In fact, they're still down a player. Kusta trying to capitalize upon this now. They're going to end up using the Cosmic Divide, and on top of that, a Gravity Well will stop Sean from pushing directly past it to immediately punish the plan attempt. For Dapper, though, still trying to spam in and work past this point, but won't be able to do the damage necessary. In fact, here comes Sean right through the Cosmic Divide, and the rest of the team is not too far behind. Seekers are out to find the positions of the players in mid to get the neural theft going as well to get that information doubly so, but even so, getting on the defuse is a bit of an issue here right now for Gen G. Mikhail tries to go for it. No! Sen somehow hold on and pick up the round for themselves.
What an amazing round here from the Sentinels. It's all doom and gloom until they're finally able to get the spike down on B, but it seems like Gen G has what it takes for the retake. The biggest piece of the puzzle there for me, Sean, flying right out into mid, those Seekers in tow, trying to get any frag he possibly can, but they can't get the initial kills. That's the biggest thing. We see Shazam step up to the plate. He shuts down the push from Garage, and then immediately switches over towards mid and starts taking out the rest of the Gen G roster. Fantastic round for them, and amazing mid-round adjustments to be able to procure that one. And big shifts once again here. They're looking towards C long. It's going to be an ult for Sick now. He'll get rid of the camera. He gets blinded though, but not that big of a deal as TenZ dashes forward on the flat. They're going to take out 3 members of Gen G here at the very beginning of the round, and it seems like the Sentinels do not want to slow down anytime soon.
That's a definitive execute coming out there from set after the round they won in the previous play. Now looking to really try and lock things down here. They might as well already have it for themselves. There's no way Gen G is going for a retake at this point. Cal and Kusta way over on the other side of the map, holding on to A. And before they could even start their rotate, pretty much all 3 of the C players were dead. So it's a non-starter for them on the retake. They're going to sit back and serve the guns once again and play out this safe.
Oh, Sick. He's got a curveball, so more than likely an easy frag for him. He'll at least get that one. Kusta's got to play safe now as he's been forced even deeper inside of long. He's trying to find any frag that he can, and oh man, this is so worrisome. He's going to end up losing the op, and Sentinels will get their own operator from that. What a round there from the Sentinels. As you said, very convincing offensive round there from them. I love the use of the run it back on Sick, especially in tow with TenZ. Dashes right to the top of the plant box and ends up just taking out all of these members. Amazing stuff across the board from Sentinels on that one.
Speaking of amazing stuff, Dapper is still topping out the charts there for the Sentinels. He's got double the kill count of literally the rest of his teammates as everybody else on the squad right now is rocking with 5 frags total the 9 rounds we've played out. So a very even contribution coming out across the board for Sen, with that clear front runner still being Dapper. We expect that after the last map, and it's going to start once again, both him as well as Sick able to get opening kills. Dapper will be lost to Sean, but Sick immediately trades that out. And once again, within the first 10 to 20 seconds of the round, we're already down to a 4v2.
I mean, to be fair, they literally had 3 people swing mid-window, and like that's gonna be pretty difficult to try and combat, especially when like the most people you see swing that window, usually 2, and that's exactly why it's gonna catch Gen G off guard, and they're gonna just get full-on eviscerated inside of round 10. Sentinels look like they're playing against a preschool inside of these last 3 rounds. I mean, it's very harsh, yes, but Gen G just not able to get anything done inside of these last 3. It's really scary going forward, but obviously economy coming into that as well, expecting for them to try and bounce back inside of this rifle.
Painful to call things like this out, but you got to call it out when it's that much of an outlier. Kyle really struggling inside of this game right now with an average combat score of 14.
Oh, man. Dude, that's like half the people's age that are watching this right now, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I'm 14 as well. We're all 14 on the internet, John. That's how it works. I'm just kidding. Anyways, besides that point, low ACS, but hoping that he bounces back inside of this round. And, well, Tens and the rest of the Sens, speaking of laughing matters, definitely not them. As well, it's been 10 rounds that we've seen so far, and they've been able to get 6 of them, although the last 3 have been way more convincing than the others, and it looks like they're doing more of the same here as well. Pushing forward inside of short, we'll be able to get the cameras out, and once again, we're going to have very similar execute properties here for Sentinels. It's 6 with the run it back. We're gonna have a dash forward from the Jet as well, and still a perfectly safe and fully healthy Sentinels roster to put a spike down.
I mean, these have been like crystal clean executes from Sentinels for the last 3 rounds now here. Just waltzing up right to the site, winning pretty much every single engagement and almost every single time, bringing it down to a 5v2 or a 4v2.
Yes, indeed, my friend. And speaking of what's been happening to Gen G, we're seeing more of the same. And for our friend Mikhail, still going to be keeping that average combat score as well, although probably younger at this point, sadly. So have to see if he's able to bounce back later on. But you have to feel for Gen G right now, as they cannot find a single answer to anything that the Sentinels are doing. It's just so very forceful. Gen G can simply not rotate people fast enough to try and deal with it. They get full site control, and there's not much you can do really past that on those re-entries, especially with what is happening to this poor round. And then, okay, Tens is also going to go down as he tries to take down Sean. There's some big frags here, but obviously this is going to be the last round. They'll give some money over to Gen G economy-wise, but more than likely not going to equate to full buys. And yeah, Mikhail, he's doubled in age, John. See, now we're all 28 years old.
You get 2 assists.
You can like drive, pay taxes. It's all the fun stuff that every adult ever wants to do. See, guys, you actually want to be 14.
So Mikhail helping out a little bit on the inside of that round, slowly starting to improve things, but still definitely struggling overall. In that last round, once again, just another example of the Gen G struggle that's been showing up for at least 3 or 4 of these rounds in a row now, where Sen has been able to, unfortunately, just walk right up and kill Gen G on quite a few of the sites to bring it down to that 4v2 situation that I was talking about before. But once again, at the beginning of this one, we do see aggression on its way out for Gen G, most notably from Sean and probably Kusta again. In fact, I think it's Kyle this time that's supporting Sean on the forward push. GMD also in from short too, so really does not want to give over A as an option whatsoever to Sentinels on their attack.
Gen G, last defense here, trying to get it done. They'll at least get a read on what's happening currently inside of a lobby. Gen G, and more specifically Sean, with a huge round, one that they've been desperately looking for. Also going to send out the Seekers, and he knows that Shazam's close. It's a dark cover now to try and get him out. We'll see if he's able to do so. Trailblazer out to try and hunt him down as well, and he'll actually get the heck out of dodge. Sean does not get any insight onto his current rotation either, so it's up to the remaining Gen G members to try and shut this down. Nature with a beautiful shot on the Tens, but it's immediately refragged. But this is looking like a Gen G round, finally, after so very long. And more importantly than that, it looks like Mikhail might be able to get up and past this ACS that we've been talking about. Shazam now into the 1 versus 4, has an opportunity coming out of garage, although it's quite bleak. Spike right in front of him, the cross being held from Kusta, and is a quick burst from the Bulldog to end us on these halves.
I like the play there from Gen G, kind of the response of answering fire with fire. They had a lot of these very aggressive executes from Sen coming into their site, like I said, for that past 3 to 4 rounds now, and that was working flawlessly for Sentinels every single time they did it. So what do we do instead? all right, let's get up in their face, and both short as well as long, they're at least towards the A side, challenge it directly, and that works out well for them. What's interesting is that they were doing that earlier on in the half, though. I didn't get to pay close attention as to why that stopped, but they moved away from it for some reason, and finally jumping onto it again with a little bit of a different style, having Sean do the push instead of Kusta, probably due to economy reasons, but it worked out just as strongly as it was for Kusta earlier on in the half.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily enough, though, Gen G will be able to shore that up just a little bit. Only a 2-round deficit going into the half now, as they'll eventually get on to offense. And this is something we've been seeing from Gen G inside of these pistol rounds, John. They do not like to buy actual pistols. Instead, it's mostly utility and light shields, and this is going to be no different. All classics, light shield and utility now for Gen G, as they're focused on C, but still have a lot of different opportunities to try and rotate around, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They'll leave Kusta here to see if anyone wants to get forward inside of C main, but more than likely won't be the case.
Look at another pretty slow pistol being played out here by Gen G. Good reasoning behind that, too. Some of these pistols have gone very bad very quickly for Gen G on the last map, so I agree that a careful approach is probably the right way to go about this, especially considering the aggression we've tended to see from Sen on a few of these rounds, including right now, what we're getting from Sick on the flank. He's figured out that there is not going to be a whole lot happening over on this side of the map. Now, he doesn't know if they're not stacked out towards mid yet. That's the only other thing, so we can't give the outright call that it's working it towards A. That's, in fact, why we're going to see, I believe that was a dark cover sent out towards Garage, is trying to bait them into thinking that they are indeed still going for either the mid or the C side. But meanwhile, Tens is all alone on A, at least upstairs he is, but he's been able to rip 2-player heads off anyway. Nature and Kusta both gone. Tens really taken out by the shock dart. He's able to dodge out of the way, but the damage is fully taken down anyway. But Tens with 2 more as well, only to go down to GMD on the final kill, but it doesn't matter. The rest of Sen can easily overwhelm him and pick up the second half pistol.
It's not just Tens inside of heaven. He's got 6 bullet buddies inside of that gun, and he is delivering them to every noggin, poking out from short. Amazing round there from Tens. And Sentinels shoot ahead yet again. Gen G, though, definitely with a heck of a opportunity there to try and claim that one, but just could not get Tens dislodged from this heaven position time and time again. Almost able to get that third one there as well, but ended up getting the quad at the end of the day anyway, so what does it really matter? Fantastic stuff for them, and Gen G back onto the pistols for this following round.
Needless to say, Tens is the difference maker there. He goes down in heaven, and that's full flood of the site going into the hands of Gen G, but instead, he single-handedly stops the entire execute. Gets the 2 impact kills when his teammates group up with him, goes in for 2 more as well when he jumps out of heaven. Beautiful stuff, and a nice trade at least from Sean here, but it does come at the cost of losing Kusta in the early round, and unfortunately, Sean already at low HP. He can't fend off the rest of that damage. Sick just tearing him apart now. He's got 3 on the round. The last one alive is GMD. He'll get taken down by Zoms. That'll be a quick 9th round on the board for Set.
Well, I can say that we all expected that one to go the way that it did. Gen G simply just trying to push the envelope inside of the Eco. Look for any frags that they possibly can, and, well, they really can't get all that much. Either way, though, down to the rifle now, and this is where it all matters. For all the marbles now, Gen G need to win this round. They have to slow down the Sentinels at some point, and it's got to come when Sentinels are on this bonus. Look across this buy right now. You got 2 rifles on Sick and Dapper, Tens with the Marshall still, and 2 Spectres and the likes of Shazam and Zoms. Gen G, if there was an opportunity, it all starts here.
Let's see if that's going to be the case. Tens is going to immediately get the way that he's going to get spotted out by the drone, but peaks soon enough so that Shazam can capitalize on the damage done by Tens. Take out that first player with a shock dart. Ultimately translates down to a 1-for-1 trade. Tens trying to make the best effort with minimal gunpowder that he had in that situation.
Here.
Well, now for Gen G, it's slow and steady. That trade happening there has locked them out for the time being, sadly, because Sean is most of their utility when it comes to trying to find intel. Yeah, they do still have the camera of nature, but you can run a dog around and try and find some people. Makes it a lot easier. GMD will initially get 1, but Zoms follows up with 2 of his own, and that's spike control, like you said, inside of Sewer. See what Gen G's response is, but as of right now, low in economy and only having these 2 rifles, this kill's gonna matter a lot. Can Dapper get both? He does! And Sentinels push Gen G right back into the hole.
3 more rounds left here, and Sentinels claim the series as well as being able to push themselves forward, putting them only 1 match away from being able to, at minimum, qualify for the next event. and of course be in contention for our top 4, seeing how far they can go from that point forward. Away from that, of course, looking at Gen G potentially getting closer to not getting knocked out of our event, but definitely going down into the lower bracket. We're going to have to fight for survival the rest of this weekend. Time to find out if Gen G can bring things back here, or if Sentinels are going to try and snap the jaws shut of any potential comeback. It is going to be a light bot round from Gen G, so once again, they have to use raw amount of numbers they have to push out towards long in order to make any sort of step forward. Unfortunately, it's not working out too well. That's a good trade from GMD, though. And now Sean, with the free presence up short, is able to get a beautiful shot against Zom to take him down as well. Seekers are going to work their way out. They do get the intel that at least one player is going to be hiding out through the defender spawn tunnel. Didn't get great intel as to Sick already being in heaven, but they can probably safely assume that someone is here. I'll just have to confirm that information, get everybody in position, counter out the retake. GMD actually just taking the fight outright from heaven there. Neural Theft going to come in here from Dapper also. Gets the position of Sean, is going to assume the other opponent is below him, and that's the right choice. But now, how does Dapper go back out? How does he jump out this window? There's no easy way to do it. He's going to get cloud bursted as well here. Keep in mind, time is ticking as all this goes away. I think he's made the decision to back away from this one now. He is working his way over towards the tunnel, but the problem is time is getting far too low for him to get both of these kills and commit to the retake, so he's just going to pick up the exits here. Clean kill on Kusta. Doesn't want to take the chance on going for Sean. Time to back away. This round goes to Gen G.
Well, again, there was a time to do it. It was now, and they'll be able to get it done. It's a thrifty for Gen G, and one that was desperately needed. Finally looking across the board once again. Oh, Mikael, I am so sorry, my friend. 1-12 currently with 6 assists. The ACS has gone up, luckily enough. He's been finding some impact inside of utility department, really, starting to add up those assists, but we want to see him wake up inside of those frags. It's a big part of what's happening to Gen G right now. There's a big thing that happens inside of FPSs like this, where it really does sometimes boil down to just simply winning your ones.
We'll see, though. Sean is winning a whole lot of those ones right now and is being a big difference maker for Gen G aside a couple of the other members of this roster, too. We're going to see Sick try to burst his way out into the open 10s. Right behind him, it doesn't work. 3 quick kills. One of them's the run it back, of course, as they work their way forward. Shazam is also able to go 1 for 1, but these trades do not favor Sen anymore at this point in the round here. They're down into the 4v2, the very same situation that Gen G was dealing with in the last half for so many rounds in a row. And now, finally, Gen G gets some revenge here. He's going to put that pressure right back onto Sentinels. Dapper, with the first good refrag, though, against Sean, will open up the potential for these guys to start pushing back out.
Well, for the Sentinels, onto the retake now. I have utility down here for Gen G as GMD pushes himself forward with the Shrouded Step. An opportunity here to continue to hold this down. Astra utility in tow as well as Kusta's got the cross. It's not looking too hot for Dapper as well as Zoms as he's the last remaining member for the Sentinels, and he's simply just going to hold the exit. Can't do much more, and definitely a round going in favor of Gen G. Fantastic offense for them as they clear out all of sewer. 3 separate, technically, bodies going down in that, but 2 of them being Phoenixes.
Starting to look a lot like Icebox right now with the way that Gen G is crawling back from the depths of the point share here. Obviously, this time they've got a lot more room to lose rounds inside of this comeback situation as well compared to Icebox, where they were immediately staring down 12 rounds from Sen. This time it's only 10. They still have those 3 rounds to play off of here. They're already incredibly close to Sentinel's own scoreline. There's a 3-round deficit between these 2 teams now. Let's see who comes out on top of the next one.
Okay, well, they finally cut all the way through the Sentinels' economy. This is the last round that they are able to fully buy here, unless they're going to go on an economy in the future. So, Gen G, this is now or never. If they're able to try and get these next 3 rounds, this would be the time to do it. And looking across the board, it seems like they're going to take their sweet time doing so. As of right now, mostly focused over towards a lobby as they're working their way in towards a main. Seekers out. 2 of them going to go behind, 1 dashing forward as well. It's Dapper alone on A, currently inside of heaven. And it's an aggressive forward assault here from Gen G as they're already primed to set this spike down.
Yeah, there's no reason why Gen G should have held off gas right there when you consider that only one of the Seekers actually worked its way into the site, so they knew this was going to be a light defense as they worked their way in, and they were correct to assume so. The rotates are here from Sen, but once again, this is going to be tough to get back out onto the site here now. However, despite that fact, they've gotten 3 untraded kills here. Kusta finally responding with 1, but it seems like it's far too much pressure, far too quickly from Sen.
No, como que aceleran el ambiente a todo.
Insane retake there from Sentinels, and most notably TenZ. I know we all talk about this man so very much, but the chaos that he just created inside of that post plant is something that has got to be notated. Immediately dashes towards the mid-site box, sits on top of that inside of his own cloudburst, and just simply dives and dodges out of them, continually taking down Gen G members left and right. They're eventually able to procure him, but now before the damage was already dealt and the rest of the Sentinels roster can move in. And as we saw, Dapper with a triple inside of that one as well. Sentinels with some fantastic stuff in round 18, but now on to round 19. Getting an early read on A main here yet again, or A lobby, excuse me, as they will be dedicating most of Shazam's utility to this area. He's going to Owl Drone out as well, trying to avoid that blind from the guiding light. Going to at least get some insight onto where the current position is of Gen G, and yes, especially onto Nature.
Only spotting out Nature, though, so a lot of incorrect assumptions can be made if they're going to take the safe call and say that, yep, that's the only one we've seen. But given that there's already a history of A executes, I'm going to guess that Sentinels will be a little bit smarter than that. And I believe that they have been. TenZ on top of this jump-up box here. Where it's, the drone gonna end up getting destroyed here, so I don't think TenZ has been revealed, but no, never mind. He gets checked out by Sean as he picks up the important entries once again. Kusta gets the actual kill in the meanwhile, but it's another clean entry, and this time they got kills for it as well. In the last round, Sentinels held back, kept the full breadth of their team alive, and waited to play for the post plant. They don't have that luxury this time. They're already 3v5 here, and once again, I'm not even sure if they're going to attempt it, as this A site is such a tough retake.
Yeah, again, we were talking about previously, their economy is shot, so they actually have to save here, because if they lose these guns, it's going to be a full save for them. And obviously, that's more than likely going to be yet another Gen G round, so that would make it effectively 11-9 at that point. Either way, though, amazing round here from Gen G. Sentinels simply getting caught off due to timing on those different peaks, as well as utilities flying in. Most notably, obviously, being well, TenZ standing on top of the boost box there for short yet again, and not able to get any of those frags. They work right under him inside of the nebula smoke there, and he's not able to get much done past that. The guiding light flies in, fully blinds the